on the news. Southeast will soon adopt name for own security outfit, Obaze. We are committed to schools upgrade, Enugu government. Senate okays Buhari's $22.7 billion loan request. Football stakeholders commence Iheanacho's return to the Eagles. Thank you for joining us on the news. My name is Chinezie Ozems. Indications emerged on Wednesday that despite agreeing to community policing as proposed by the federal government as its own way of fighting insecurity in the Southeast zone, governors of the zone will soon adopt a name for her own regional security outfit. A diplomat and former People's Democratic Party candidate for the Anambra governorship election in 2017, Mr. Osoloke Obaze, stated this in an interview with journalists in Awka. Obaze stated that a lot of consultation has been done on it by leaders of the zone. He equally said that an agreement has been reached to choose a name for the regional security outfit, just as the Southwest governors chose Amotekun. Enugu state government has reiterated its commitment to upgrade facilities in schools. It also promised to provide qualitative education and conducive learning environment for students. Commissioner for Education, Professor Ucheze, said the state government through the Enugu State Universal Basic Education Board had constructed and renovated about 890 classroom blocks. Professors stated this when he led the chairman of Ensubed, Ike Jasoba, and his team to inspect facilities at practicing school 1, 2, 3, and 4, MNA Enugu on Wednesday. The commissioner stated that the governor had committed enormous energy and resources to ensure that schools are transformed and are conducive for learning. It also distributed 1,130 marker boards for teaching and 1,960 ceiling fans for conducive learning environment. The Senate on Thursday approved the $22.7 billion loan request of President Muhammadu Buhari after a heated debate that ended up in a closed session. The lawmakers, after a closed-door session, which lasted about 45 minutes, approved the two-item recommendation of the Committee on Local and Foreign Loans, chaired by Senator Clifford Odia. The senators have resolved the issues that have generated tension during the initial deliberation on the document at the closed session. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawal, pledged that the loan will be spent on projects that will have an impact on the lives of Nigerians. He also challenged the various committees of the Red Chamber to ensure strict oversight so that every dollar in the loan will be accounted for. The bulk of the loan will come from the Islamic Development Bank, African Development Bank, the World Bank, and banks from China, Japan, and Germany. The federal government has announced plans to review the 2020 budget as crude oil revenue comes under pressure from the effects of the raging virus infection globally. Minister of Finance Ahmed Zinad said on Wednesday that the government was worried about the drop in oil revenue. She stated that the government will soon start a midterm review of the budget to determine the way forward. The session was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa. The price of Nigeria's Brent crude was well over $60 per barrel when Buhari signed the 10.59 trillion budget into law in December last year. The budget has an oil benchmark of $57 per barrel. However, The price has been on a free fall since January, worsening lately with the outbreak of coronavirus. As of Wednesday, when the minister spoke, the price hovered around $53 per barrel, recording a loss of $4 off the benchmark. But Ahmed noted that a rise in daily oil production above the budgeted 2 million barrels could draw in some money to cover the loss. Medical experts have emphasized on the proper health tips to be adhered to in order to prevent numbness. The tips were made known when MCLtv spoke with public health experts on the subject. MCLtv completes the report.
Numbness can be referred to a burning or prickling sensation that is usually felt in the hands, arms, legs, or feet. However, it can also occur in other parts of the body. The sensation occurs without warning, usually painless, and described as tingling, skin crawling, and itching. Speaking on the health issue, health experts say that numbness is caused by pressure on a nerve, which includes sitting on one's legs crossed or falling asleep on the arm. On the other causes, medical experts has this to say.
Numbness occurs when there's a pressure on a part of the body, and blood supply is cut off due to that pressure. For example, you hold tight part of your body, like I'm holding tight this hand now. If I hold it tight for quite a long time, I'm going to cut off supply of blood to the nerves passing through this place, and then you experience paresthesia or a degree of numbness, and so when that happens, you will lose the sense of touch, and because there's no more blood supply, there's no more blood oxygen to those nerves. They begin to die, as it were. But we have other situations where numbness can also come as a result of certain conditions in the body.
They equally noted that numbness, cold, pins and needles by English folks can also be stopped and prevented. The medical expert stated that physical exercise and good sleeping posture can prevent it.
You avoid undue pressure on the part of your body for a long time. You have to avoid that. And another precaution is that you have to consider your age, and then you have to engage your limbs, upper and lower limbs, parts of the body, in exercises. When you're always engaged in exercises, your supply, the blood supply to your body, is enhanced.
Meanwhile, numbness is a health condition that is common in humans. Research shows that diseases such as diabetes, neuropathy, migraine, stroke, seizures, amongst others, can also lead to numbness. For MCL News.
Anambra State House of Assembly has summoned the State Commissioner for Health, Vincent Opala, and his Information and Public Enlightenment counterpart, Don Adenoba, to appear before plenary to explain the state's readiness to contain the rapidly spreading deadly virus. The resolution followed a motion moved under matters of urgent public importance raised by Majority Leader of the House, Nnamdi Okafor, on 3rd March. Speaker Uche Okafor, who presided over plenary, read out the resolution while lawmakers adopted it through voice votes. Nnamdi Okafor, representing Awka South 1, said there was need to ensure adequate preparation and robust response in the event of any emergency. The lawmakers, however, took turn to support the motion, saying there is a need to know the ability of the state to deal with the virus, as the nation has recorded a first case. The Republic of Angola has lifted the travel ban it earlier placed on Nigerian nationals. The travel ban by the government of Angola followed a confirmed case of coronavirus in the country involving an Italian national. Kenebe Ibifa of the Crisis Monitoring and Public Communications Division, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, disclosed the development in a statement made available to newsmen. Angola had, on 1st March 2020, announced a temporary measure banning citizens of China, South Korea, Italy, Nigeria, Egypt, Algeria, and Iran from the country. President Muhammadu Buhari has reportedly sacked Dakuku Peterside as the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. The President also approved the appointment of the current Executive Director, Administration and Finance, Bashir Jimo, as the new DG. Peterside, who was appointed by the Buhari administration in 2016, is expected to end his tenure on 10th March 2020. The 56-year-old Kaduna-born Jimo is also the current president of the Chartered Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, COTA. A federal high court sitting in Kano State on Thursday set aside the ruling suspending Adams Oshimole as national chairman of All Progressive Congress APC. Recall that a federal capital territory high court had on Wednesday ordered Oshimole to stop parading himself as the national chairman of the ruling party. The Justice Danlami Senchi had ruled that the APC national chairman should step down pending the determination of a suit seeking his dismissal from office. The judge had ruled on an application of interlocutory injunction following his suspension as a member of the APC from Esako Ward 10 in Edo State. Oshimole, however, appealed the ruling before the Justice Louis Alogo-led court. The Justice Alogo, while hearing the matter, set aside the ruling of the FCT High Court, which suspended Oshimole. The judge also ordered the Police Department of State Service DSS to provide security for Oshimole as he resumes office. The Peace Corps of Nigeria, PCN, has said that it will partner with the Nigerian police to tackle the high level of insecurity bedeviling the country. The National Commandant, Ambassador Dixon Akok, said that they bore no grudge against anybody or organization over the 3 years they were prevented from accessing the office. Akok, along with other officers and members, took possession of the office around 8 a.m. after the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, ordered policemen out of the premises. Akok noted that the corps suffered over 120 million losses in form of damages done to physical infrastructure, furniture, and the state-of-the-art equipment installed before the commissioning. You are watching MCL News. Still to come. Man commits suicide in Anambra over disagreement with wife. South Africa reports first deadly virus case. Football stakeholders commence Iheanacho's return to the Eagles. Details of this report will come your way after the break. Stay tuned.
With heavy heart, the management and staff of Modern Communications Limited, MCLtv, announced the death of one of his staff, Mr. Nathaniel Ogugwa Mwabulike. The sad event occurred on Wednesday night in February 2020. Until his death, the late Mwabulike, popularly known as Akuno Joto, was the studio manager of MCLtv. The deceased was a graduate of theatre arts from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. He was the creator of the program Frontliners, which metamorphosed into Frontrunners. Sports Digest, which has been running for more than a decade, is the brainchild of late Mr. Mwabulike. He was also credited with the introduction of newspaper review on MCLtv. The burial announcement will be announced by the family. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
mosquito is biting me.
But I asked you to use Top Rank insecticide.
Top Rank insecticide kills mosquitoes, cockroach, flies, and every other crawling and flying insects faster anywhere around you. NAFDAC approves Top Rank insecticide for its effectiveness. Use Top Rank insecticide and enjoy a peaceful night rest. Available in all shops and supermarkets near you in 600 milliliter can and 300 milliliter can. Top Rank insecticide is marketed nationwide by C Success Multi Services Limited. Telephone 0813 111 2348 or 090 960 22577. Top Rank insecticide. What's worth doing is worth doing well.
Wow, the lab results.
Yes.
Okay. Where is this man? She has malaria.
Malaria?
Yes.
What do you think you prescribe for?
We prescribe Casimir tablets.
Casimir tablets?
Yes, Casimir tablets.
Casimir tablets get at letter and lumefantrine for inside. Casimir tablets now Maxima Bottles Private Limited for India. They make them, but na Grace Best Pharmacy and Store Limited. And I think they distribute Casimir tablets for here. Casimir tablets get NAFDAC approval for take fight malaria, comot your family.
Casimir tablets, na correct anti-malaria.
Casimir tablets, it dey stop every malaria.
If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor.
If you're in or around the city of Aba, brace yourself and get ready for a happiness experience. Gospel Truth with Siri Snow, a total blend of music, dance, spoken words, comedy, and more on Sunday, 15th of March 2020 by 2 p.m. at Venus Hotel. Music by Song, Steve Crown, Chris Morgan, Prosper Chimana, Father Shane, Moses Bliss, Dynamite Z, Promise, and Opera David. Dance, spoken words, and clean jokes by Uncle O, CD, Haywire, Took and Talk, Pujensi, Headmaster, Sister Ketinyoy, Formula, and other surprise acts. Special appearance, Pastor Annie and Dauda. Host, Siri Snow. Tickets regular 2,000, VIP 5,000, table seat 25,000. For sponsorship and participation, please call 080-3492-3805. Gospel Truth Happiness Experience, proudly supported by
Welcome back. You are watching MCL News. A man identified as Samuel Weke has hung himself over a disagreement with his wife, leaving behind a suicide note. Spokesperson for Anambra State Police Command, Haruna Mohammed, broke the news to journalists. Haruna said the disagreement led to the deceased wife abandoning him, leading to his action. The corpse was thereafter evacuated by the victim's relatives. It was suspected that the action of his wife may have driven him to take his own life. Haruna said the Commissioner of Police in the state, John Adam, has ordered for a discreet investigation to ascertain the circumstances surrounding the incident. South Africa on Thursday confirmed its first case of the novel coronavirus. A 38-year-old man who traveled to Italy, Health Ministry announced. It is the first case in Southern Africa and the latest confirmed case in Sub-Saharan Africa after Nigeria and Senegal. The case was detected in the country's eastern KwaZulu-Natal province. The patient and his wife were part of a group of 10 people who arrived back in South Africa from Italy on 1st March. 2 days later, on 3rd March, he consulted a private general practitioner with a fever, headache, sore throat, and a cough. Italy has emerged as the European hotspot for the deadly virus, with the national death toll at 107. The deadliest outbreak outside China. More than 90,000 people have been infected and over 3,000 killed worldwide since the virus first emerged in China in December. South Africa is preparing to repatriate 184 of its citizens, comprising students, teachers, and other professionals working in China's Wuhan, the epicenter of the epidemic. Talking sports, Super Eagles coach Janet Rowe has invited Kelechi Iheanacho and 23 others for the 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifying fixture against the Lone Stars of Sierra Leone this month. Some football stakeholders have described Kelechi Iheanacho's return to the Super Eagles as a welcome development as he has rediscovered his form, they report.
After playing himself back to reckoning at English Premier League club Leicester City, Kelechi Iheanacho has been recalled to the Super Eagles ahead of Nigeria's 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifying fixture against the Leon Stars of Sierra Leone this month. The former under-17 player was dropped by coach Janet Rowe from the Eagles squad that prosecuted the 2019 African Cup of Nations in Egypt owing to his struggle for form and playing time at his English Premier League club Leicester City. However, Iheanacho's return to the Super Eagles ahead of Nigeria's 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifying match against Sierra Leone has elicited reactions from some football stakeholders. They said Iheanacho, who struggled for game time at the start of the season, has now scored 6 goals across all competitions for Leicester City, which earned him a recall to the Eagles. The football stakeholders expressed hope that the former Manchester City striker will continue his impressive goal-scoring form in Nigeria's game against Sierra Leone.
That young man Kelechi is somebody I love his way. He has a cat with 9 lives, you know. He can fight for something he believes in. He believes he should be an elite player and fight for shit. He did, and he has done that. And anytime he's given the chance to play, he has always proved himself. Even at the junior level, he won the golden boot for Africa, and I think that he's trying to reclaim himself, what he used to know for.
Somehow he's playing himself into record. Let him now improve on the form he has discovered now, and I showed that he was instead that Kelechi Iheanacho that shone brightly 3-4 years ago during the Under-17 World Cup.
Iheanacho was recalled alongside goalkeepers Daniel Akpeyi, Ikechukwu Ezenwa and Maduka Okoye. Defenders Kenneth Omeruo, Leon Balogun, Chidozie Awaziem, William Truss Ekong, Ola Oluwa Aino, Jamilu Collins, Oluwa Shemilogo Ajayi, Kingsley Ehizibwe. Midfielders Adlahi Shehu, Etebo Ogenekaro, Wilfred Ndidi, Joseph Ayodele Arebo, Raymond Aziz. Forwards Ahmed Musa, Alexander Iwobi, Victor Oshime, Moses Simon, Samuel Chukwueze, Cyril Desas, Kelechi Iheanacho and Samuel Kalu. The Director of Communications of NFF, Ademola Olajire, said all the invited players are to report in the Delta State capital on Monday, 23rd March. Victory in both games will guarantee Nigeria a spot at the 2021 African Cup of Nations scheduled for Cameroon early next year. Following the recurring thigh injury he sustained during the Africa Olympic qualifying tournament in Tunis at the weekend, Africa's best-ranked table tennis player Aruna Kodri has been ruled out of action in 3 weeks. Kodri has now been forced to withdraw from the ongoing ITTF World Tour tagged Qatar Open holding in Doha. The ITTF Africa Top 16 Cup runners-up has been advised to rest while undergoing treatment. Kodri was close to picking his Olympic ticket in Tunis last week, but he had to withdraw in his last month match against Tunisia's Adam Hanan to hand the Tunisian the last ticket to Tokyo. But the Nigerian can still pick his spot at Tokyo based on his world rating as the 18th best player in the world. Meanwhile, the Oyo State-born 2014 ITTF Player of the Year expressed appreciation to fans across the world for their concern when he sustained an injury and withdrew from the Olympic qualifiers in Tunis. Jonah Oche, MCL News.
That's the size of our packet, but before we draw the curtain, Here is a recap of our major news stories. Indications emerged on Wednesday that despite agreeing to community policing as proposed by the federal government as its own way of fighting insecurity in the southeast zone, governors of the zone will soon adopt a name for our own regional security outfit. Enugu state government has reiterated its commitment to the upgrade of facilities in schools. The Senate on Thursday approved the $22.7 billion loan request of President Muhammadu Buhari after a heated debate that ended up in a closed session. Super Eagles coach Genetro has invited Kelechi Iheanacho and 23 others for the 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifying fixture against Lone Stars of Sierra Leone this month. Some football stakeholders have described Kelechi Iheanacho's return to the Super Eagles as a welcome development as he has rediscovered his form. That was the news. Thanks for watching. My name is Chimezie Ozems. Stay tuned for Akokowa with Ofriche Jide. Good night.